Hey people, John here from Fast Films, and today we are going through a 2018 crime drama movie called A 12-Year Night. At the beginning of the movie, it is narrated that Uruguay is under a civil military dictatorship after several decades of democracy in 1973. The Tupamaro revolutionary movement has been defeated and its survivors are in prison. On September 7th, 9 Tupamaro prisoners were secretly taken by the military government, and the movie is about the 3 prisoners out of them. Next, we see that the 3 prisoners, Jose Mujica, Eleuterio Fernandez Huidobro, and Mauricio Rosenkopf, are taken from their jail cells to a government-run prison in a secret military operation. For a night they are commanded to stand still in their cells with their face covered and handcuffed behind their back. The next day, their faces are uncovered and are unhandcuffed in their cells. The 3 prisoners are given an army defense resolution, which says that they are not allowed to talk to each other or even to the soldiers. As time passes, the prisoners are shifted to a different military base where the chief visits Mauricio Rosenkopf's cell and tells him that his family is forcing them to meet him. He tells him that he will meet his family shortly but warns him to stay silent during the meeting. Then, he goes into Jose Mujica's cell and tells him that he and his fellow Tupamaro political prisoners are no longer prisoners but held as hostages by the army. After that, the prisoners get haircuts and showers. Rosenkopf is given a medical checkup during which the doctor is thrilled to find the prisoners in such terrible condition. In the next scene, Mauricio Rosenkopf meets his daughter, Alejandra, and his parents. Suddenly, his father, Isaac, not being able to recognize him, collapses on the ground, and Rosenkopf is taken back into his cell forcibly. In 1975, they are taken to another military base where they are subjected to petty rules and exploitation. They are fed upon the leftovers by the soldiers. Jose Mujica is separated from the trio and held at the bottom of a grain silo. On the eve of Christmas, Huidobro and Rosenkopf start communicating with each other through tap codes. In 1976, the 3 prisoners are taken to another military base. Rosenkopf and Huidobro still communicate through tap codes and have also started playing chess through the tap codes. Huidobro is taken to the toilet by the soldiers. When he tells them that he cannot defecate while being tied, the soldiers discuss the situation with the corporal and sergeant. Meanwhile, Huidobro manages to steal a few crumpled newspapers from the bin. Later, he tells Rosenkopf through tap code about the updates that he reads from the crumpled newspaper. After a prolonged period of confinement, Jose Mujica experiences delusions and begins hallucinating about his mother. His mother comes to the prison to see him, but the guard turns her away by saying that Mujica isn't there. In 1977, the trio is shifted to another prison in which Rosenkopf and Huidobro are not able to communicate with each other through tap code. Rosenkopf hears a soldier talking about the woman he desires to approach. He tells the soldier that he will help him write a letter to that girl. The soldier gets angry at him, but later he brings a pen and paper to get his help. Then, Rosenkopf is taken into Sergeant Alzamora's room where he is asked to write a letter for him as the sergeant has heard that he helped a soldier earlier. After writing the letter, the sergeant lets him keep the pen and notebook on his request. He also brings fresh bread for him and shares his personal problems while Rosenkopf writes the letter. The sergeant increases the volume of his radio for the trio to enjoy the football match. In 1978, the 3 men are united and transported to an underground prison where Mujica's condition worsened in complete isolation. Huidobro imagines meeting his wife and daughter. He fears that his family will forget him with the passage of time. Mujica relives the memories of his capture and fears that they will be forgotten in the years to come. In 1979, the trio is shifted to another prison where Huidobro and Rosenkopf are relieved for being able to communicate with each other through tap code. Huidobro tells him that he is going to meet his daughter, Gabrielita, but he doesn't know what to talk about. Rosenkopf tells him a story through the tap code which he then narrates to his daughter. He tries to hide his swollen and wounded hands from her but then lures her by moving them playfully. One day, Huidobro hears the click-clack of a typewriter and attempts to interpret the meaning by inscribing it on a bar of soap. Just then, soldiers appear in the trio's cells, who improve the condition of the cells by providing tables, books, radios, and food. The prisoners read the newspapers and come to know the country's current affairs. Rosenkopf overhears a soldier mentioning that the prisoners are given everything they need and are taken care of in the best possible way. In the next scene, before Huidobro is taken before the International Red Cross Committee, he is commanded not to reveal the truth of how the prisoners are being treated or else he will be facing the music. However, Huidobro opens up and reveals that the prisoners are barely fed, not even allowed to go to the bathroom or talk to anyone. But then, it is revealed that this was all that Huidobro imagined telling in front of the Red Cross Committee. The prisoners only state their names and are taken back into his cell. After the Red Cross delegation leaves, their cells are emptied and the special privileges are taken back, revealing that they were given in a ruse to fool the visiting delegation. Next, we see that the military chief meets Huidobro about the bar of soap with inscriptions that were discovered in his possession. The chief forces him to decode the message, but Huidobro tells him that it is not a message but a way to play roulette. He then explains to the chief how the game is played to make him believe his words and exonerate Huidobro of any malicious intent. However, the chief expresses regret for not finishing him off in 1972. Through a flashback, we are shown that on the 14th of April 1972, the members of the Tupamaro group were attacked by the army. The military chief and his team arrived at Huidobro's home and finished off his wife and a friend, leaving Huidobro and one of the other group members wounded in the attic. When the country's officials arrived, the army displayed the scene as though they were being attacked by the Tupamaro group. One of the soldiers discovered the presence of wounded survivors. When the chief is informed, he secretly tries to finish them off, but before that Huidobro surrenders himself to the hands of the country's officials. As the flashback ends, the military chief mocks him for being defeated and ending up in prison. Right after that, Mujica's mother visits the prison to meet him and tells him that she has brought food and other items for him. Mujica acts weirdly and shares the mental delusions he experiences. His mother gets frustrated with him and advises him to stay strong and don't let the army defeat him. In the next scene, Mujica causes a commotion at a military event held near his cell. He forces the soldiers to give him the items which his mother brought for him. After that, he is taken to a psychiatrist and explains his condition to her. The guard intervenes in their conversation and tries to tell the psychiatrist that Mujica is being given everything he needs in the prison. While the psychiatrist sends the guard to get water, she reveals to Mujica that he is suffering from delusional psychosis. She tells him that he needs to have good sleep and rest and cling to anything that can help to get rid of his constantly disturbing thoughts. When Mujica tells her that nothing could help his complicated condition, she promises to raise awareness of his condition and provide him with books, a pen, and paper to improve the state of his mind by reading and writing. Before he leaves, she advises him to have faith as the days of imprisonment will be over. In 1980, the results of the election resulted in Uruguayans refusing the constitutional project proposed by the government and demanding democracy in the country. This defeat initiates a wave of frustration in the military and the trio is beaten up by the soldiers. In the years 1981 and 1982, they are moved to different military bases where Huidobro and Rosenkopf communicate through tap codes, and Mujica is provided books to read for improving his mental condition. In 1983, they are returned to another prison where Rosenkopf meets Sergeant Alzamora, who is a chief guard now. He reveals that he is now married and expresses gratitude to Rosenkopf, allowing the three prisoners a greater degree of freedom under his custody. The prisoners are delighted to see each other and then they bask in the sunlight. In 1984, they are taken to their first prison and are commanded to wear prison uniforms. Huidobro asks the other prisoners about the members of his group and learns that they were taken by the military on different occasions and never returned. In 1985, Mujica is released after signing the form that confirms that the prisoners were given fair treatment during their confinement. Before he leaves, the chief tells him that the military plans to catch them again. However, Mujica wishes him good luck with their plan and leaves the prison. In the next scene, Huidobro is doing the dishes in the prison's kitchen for the new prisoners who will come after them. After that, he and Rosenkopf along with other political prisoners are taken on a bus to reunite with their families. On their way, they see a lot of people including kids who greet them and reveal that they never forgot the members of the Tupamaro group. All the families are emotional and delighted to see their husbands, sons, and brothers return. Mujica's mother and Huidobro's family wait eagerly while the prisoners return. Rosenkopf reunites with his parents and daughter, Alejandra. Then, Huidobro gets out of the bus and is greeted by his wife, Graciela, and daughter, Gabrielita. Next, we see that Mujica's name is announced and his mother rushes to meet him. After that, it is narrated that after 12 years of solitary confinement, democracy returned to the country and the prisoners were released in a general amnesty. In the final scene, it is narrated that Eleuterio Fernandez Huidobro became a senator and defense minister. He died on August 5, 2016. Mauricio Rosenkopf lives in Montevideo. He is a poet, novelist, and playwright. He was the cultural director for the city of Montevideo. José Mujica was a congressman and senator. In 2010, at the age of 75, he was elected as the president of Uruguay and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching, guys.